concept for this year-round campaign is to just keep beating the heart of going to the movies and the magic of going to the movies and coming with your friends and your family, or even, a solo trip where you can just unwind and put that phone down and be transported to a new world.
This is the Box Office Podcast. I'm Daniel Loria, the editorial director of Box Office Pro, the pulse of theatrical exhibition. And in this week's episode, we're speaking with Bryan Braunlich, the executive director of the Cinema Foundation, which is going to be rolling out a special preview of movies coming to a theater near you on April 22nd and April 24th. These will both have one showtime at 6 p.m. local time. This is a special At the Movies event. As we know, National Cinema Day, an initiative from the Cinema Foundation that offered discounted tickets one weekend a year, was a big hit in prior years. This year, that program is being retooled with a couple of different themed days, and we will learn more about this preview day in the feature segment of this episode in the second half of the conversation. But before we get there, I am joined once again by Rebecca Pahle and Chad Kennerk from Box Office Pro. Guys, welcome back. I'm going to open this the way we traditionally open episodes by asking you what the last thing you saw was, starting with Chad, because I know you had a new release screening this week.
I did. I got to see Sinners in IMAX, and I think Warner Brothers has another big hit on their hands. I think the word of mouth on this movie is going to be huge. I'm certainly telling everyone, go see it. Go see it in IMAX if you can, because it's shot on IMAX cameras.
I got my tickets for Thursday for Dolby. So if I like it, and I'll do it IMAX, but word of mouth, is going to have to do well because I'm not seeing a ton of marketing for it, but it's really satisfying to hear that it's good.
Yes, I think I understand why now that I've seen it. And It's one of those movies, the less you know, the better. I would say don't read anything about it. Just go see it and stay through the credits, Rebecca, all the way to the end. Because there's a mid-credit scene and there's a little post-credit scene as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're getting me excited, Chad.
It's on my top 10 this year already.
You're coming out swinging. That's what I want to hear. And it's a title that we've all been very excited to see, that we've all been very curious as to why there's been such a muted marketing campaign for it. We're seeing the Rotten Tomatoes score right now being incredible. I think either perfect or near perfect. This is a crowd pleaser. This is a word of mouth hit. Now, opening weekend isn't going to dictate the success of this title. We're going to have to wait until what that word of mouth impact means. Of course, that PLF advantage that it has coming in with IMAX screens this weekend is going to be notable when we talk about opening weekend box office. Right now, we're expecting somewhere in the 30s, in the $30 million range for this title. But especially with how quickly word spreads online these days, we might be seeing, I think, some Sunday pickup that can push this above 40 million on opening weekend.
Yeah, it definitely feels like one where people are going to be like, I need to see it before it gets spoiled.
Yeah,
I think we all feel that way. I can't wait to see it. I have to find some time to head over to theaters. Meanwhile, I have seen a total of 3 new releases this year. 2 of them are Steven Soderbergh movies. So I saw Presence earlier in the year. Unfortunately, through PVOD, I missed it in theaters. But I did go catch Black Bag at the Alamo Yonkers right before I went to CinemaCon. And then last weekend, I was in Philadelphia visiting my in-laws. And I went over to the AMC 309 location. 309, I think, is the name of the turnpike or one of the major highways. Anyway, guys, this is a theater that has been around since my wife was growing up, and it wasn't in the best shape. To give you an example, this was a theater that no one in my wife's family ever mentioned that I should go to, just because it was always like the rundown theater. They went in and renovated this AMC location, I think in 2021. It's beautiful. I mean, it is an incredible 9-screen theater. If you want an example of what AMC is doing to renovate individual locations across the country, this is a textbook case of how you get a renovation done right. I had a great experience, wonderful seats, laser projection, I think in every auditorium in that theater. The sound was at a great level. The concessions line moved quickly. I went to go see Warfare, the new Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza film from A24. Harrowing picture, very strong film, a very good film, but a very intense experience. But as I was there, most of the people coming in were families there to see Minecraft And man, it was great to see a packed theater for a family title like this. And we do have to mention Minecraft now, the highest grossing film of 2025 domestically after only 2 weekends in the marketplace. A lot of good news. Some speed bumps along the way. We've had reports of rowdy moviegoers here. What's this chicken jockey thing that we're all learning about the hard way in this industry?
Yeah, it feels like a little Gentle Minions redux. It's like a cameo. It's like a unicorn, right? It's just like a little cameo that pops up, and it's very rare. That's my understanding of
but
it.
the children love it. The children get very excited and riled up.
The children, the teens. It's nice to see the kind of interactive people being excited about what they're seeing. Obviously not, you can take it too far, and it seems like some places have.
It seems like some have, unfortunately. But honestly, guys, I think this story is blown out of proportion. If there's any industry in the world, not only here, not only there, in the world that knows how to deal with unruly teenagers, it's this industry. God knows I did not behave how I should have in movie theaters in my teenage years. I've said it a million times. I will continue saying it. My apologies to the staff of the Regal UA Falls 12 and the AMC Sunset Place 25 and the AMC Coco Walk in Miami, Florida from the years 1998 to 2004.
You left a trail of destruction.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I was a teenager that liked going to the movies, and I liked sneaking into rated R movies too. I tried my best into sneaking into a number of movies during that era. And I understand how difficult it is, obviously, for movie theater staffs to deal with patrons like this. And I also know that they're very prepared for it. They're trained for it. And they know, I think a lot of these guys have learned their lesson from the Gentle Minions thing that I think caught us all unaware because theaters have been closed for a while. We knew what we were signing up for by the time that Barbie got released, by the time that Wicked came out and people started singing along. I don't think these things are bad per se. I don't think these things are prevalent, these negative stories. They do happen, but I think it's down to every theater to either lean into it, embrace it, and also draw a red line. If these kids are out of control, do what you need to do to not ruin the experience for other patrons. And I leave everything in the hands of theater owners to know their audience and how to deal with them best. I think a lot of the reports here are overblown into this being an issue. I don't know how you guys feel about this.
I mean, you have a fun little story coming out about a chicken jockey. I feel like that's going to get blown out of proportion. If it were any industry, if it were anything else, yeah, it's an interesting story. But be interested to hear from any theater owners or people who have dealt with that on a boots on the ground basis. Yeah. But I mean, even things like you see the pictures of the auditoriums that get all messy with all the popcorn and the spilled this and that, which bugs me to no end. I don't understand why people don't frickin' take their popcorn and cups with them. But theaters have literal vacuum cleaners on backpacks to they're well equipped to deal with these messes, both literal and figurative.
And I've said this before. I think the movie understands what it's doing. The movie's built for this sort of participatory engagement with its audience.
That's what Minecraft is, right? It's a sandbox game.
It's a self-aware film that knows what it's doing. Again, it takes lessons from the success of something like the Gentle Minions trend and bakes it into the way this movie works. Now, there is such a thing as going too far, and I think it's important to draw those red lines, but I don't think this is as big as it's made out to be. But we did have an example of a major star from the film actually going to a theater and asking people to behave. Chad, what's this thing that we saw reported that Jack Black went to a theater and asked people to behave?
Yeah, Jack Black showing up at an AMC, the Century City 15 over the weekend, showing up unannounced. He initially disguised his voice, and he said, "For today's presentation of a Minecraft movie, please no throwing popcorn." And then he started speaking in his own voice, and everyone went crazy. Yeah. So Jack Black out there on the road telling
Keeping
people not
real.
to throw popcorn.
I love it. Listen, it's down to everyone to make sure that maybe you have certain showtimes that are rowdy screenings and certain showtimes that aren't. And again, I know there's a lot of theaters that have, depending on their local community, that are unfortunately in the position of having to be the de facto babysitter. I don't wish that upon any theater owner. That cannot be easy. And they know the relationship to their local community. So I'm not I'm not too fazed by this. I think the day that we start having rowdy screenings of The Brutalist, at that point, it's a problem. At that point, it's like movie-going behavior has an issue. But no one's going and cheering at like a Doylestown, Pennsylvania church megacenter when it's revealed 3.5 hours into that movie, right?
I'm not going to like a 10 p.m. screening of Minecraft and expecting it to be filled with kids, you know.
No, you know what you're getting
certain
into.
Times a day.
Yeah, and it's this industry. It's the way it's always been, and it's the way it will continue to be. Other examples of this sort of participatory screening behavior just came up. Chad, there was a story recently about a Blumhouse and Universal re-releasing some archival titles in a way that asks audience to engage with them and their phones. What's going on with this halfway to Halloween thing that was announced last week?
Yeah, Blumhouse did the Halfway to Halloween last year, I think exclusively with AMC, and now this year it's more nationwide in theaters. They're bringing their Unholy Trinity, they're calling the original Megan, the Conjuring Universe prequel Annabelle, and the Octavia Spencer film Ma back to theaters nationwide, one night only over 3 consecutive weeks.
Because Annabelle's really good, and Ma was one of those that the internet fell in love with,
right?
Because it's so stupid. Yeah. That's one I want to see with. I want to see that one with the crowd. I only watch that on home video.
Yeah. I love all of the Ma like posters that were being mocked up on Instagram during that original release. But what they're doing with Megan, it's just Megan, that they're going to have this new tech twist where they're teaming up with Meta to bring Movie Mate to theaters. Fans will be interacting with a Megan chatbot.
Do I have to download an app for this?
Yes. Yeah.
Who's making money off of this, basically?
They don't have a version of this that's Octavia Spencer as Ma talking. Ma.
I mean, I think I would actually prefer that.
Yeah.
So the idea is you're going to be receiving never before seen content, trivia, behind the scenes things about the film in real time. So
during the film.
Yes, during the film. So we've kind of seen that on some Blu-rays, some home entertainment stuff where things will pop up.
The second screen type thing,
The second screen thing.
Like pop-up video back in the day?
Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for Alamo either. They said they're going to enforce their no cell phone policy. So like you were saying, Daniel, it's kind of up to theater owners to know their audience, know if this is right for them.
I think Rebecca and I are going to be catching this at the Alamo Drafthouse when it comes out.
Yes, I think so. But it's nice, you want to have more opportunities for moviegoers who like all sorts of different things. I just don't want to be in an auditorium with them if they're using their phones.
We have the choice. That's the beauty of this. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being a little bit creative and saying, hey, for the theaters that want to participate in something like this, whether it's rowdy chicken jockey things or a second screen, recent archival screening, sure, do it. And if you don't want to, if you know your audience doesn't like to see things in that way, you don't have to opt in. I think the Alamo decision makes sense for that circuit. And it makes sense for moviegoers like myself. Now, there's probably a ton of other moviegoers that want an opportunity to interact with their phones and the screen. This is their chance to do it. I applaud the creativity behind this, even though if we all admit we're not the target demo for this at all.
They were never concerned that they were reaching out to people in our age demo.
Yeah.
Now, we mentioned Alamo. Now, fortunately, Rebecca, we can see all these movies at the Alamo locations in New York City because as of this week, the strike is over. As you may remember, the workers of the Alamo Drafthouse locations in Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan went on strike in February. That has now been resolved. And we expect those locations to be operational probably by the time you listen to this episode, if not sooner. I'm really looking forward to going back to those theaters, among my favorite theaters here in New York City.
Yeah. As soon as we finish recording, I'm going to see what their $10 Tuesday programming is because I need to eat as much queso as I would have eaten in these past few weeks. I need to catch up on the queso consumption.
It's not a trip to the Alamo without an order of queso, Rebecca. I think you're absolutely right about that. So that basically wraps up all of the news we had to cover this week here in our news segment. Coming up after this word from our sponsor is my interview with Bryan Braunlich from the Cinema Foundation, talking about this special program bringing in trailers from upcoming movies, unseen footage to a theater near you on April 22nd and 24th, part of the Cinema Foundation's At the Movies 2025 campaign that's coming up right after the break.
Find the freedom to greet more guests, to tear more tickets, and to pop more corn. With screenwriter and producer, the industry's leading theater management software from Arts Alliance Media, cinemas can free site-level staff from limited appearances to customer experiences. Discover time-saving automation to spend less time on back-office operations and more time creating the magic your audiences deserve.
And we're back here on the Box Office podcast with the Cinema Foundation's executive director, Bryan Braunlich, who will be talking about the At the Movies sneak peek showcase that is going on April 22nd with an encore showing on April 24th. Bryan, welcome back to the podcast. We get to talk about something really fun today.
Yes, we do. Thanks for having me back, Daniel.
So the sneak peek showcase is an idea that I think everyone that's ever attended CinemaCon has always come out saying, this is great, but what if we could show this to moviegoers? Now we have a chance, a 2-night event. Could you just lay out the logistics of this? It's happening on the 22nd. There's an encore showing on the 24th. What are the show times like? What are the participating theaters? What's it looking like?
Sure. This is an industry first. As you mentioned, I've been in this industry. This was my 4th CinemaCon. Coming out of it, you're so excited for what's coming up. And we've been thinking for a while, how do we take that content and bring it to movie theaters? I mean, the content is made for moviegoers, right? So we looked at how this concept it started over in Europe with a sort of Discovery Day concept where they had trailers and brought people in. And then we were like, well, here domestically, what can we do to plus it up? There's so much exclusive content or new content coming out of CinemaCon. Let's create a program, which we're calling Sneak Peek Showcase, to bring that content to theaters. So this piece is going to be about 70 minutes of content, both trailers and sneak peeks of things that we all get to see and now consumers get to see, to bring excitement for the 2025 slate and encourage moviegoers to see this content and then buy tickets, come back, right? That's the purpose.
Now, the ticket price for this initiative is $3, $1 going to, respectively, the Cinema Foundation, the Will Rogers Motion Pictures Pioneers Fund, and then you've also got Variety, the children's charity. So it's going for a good cause. It's going for industry promotion. And it's a 70-minute showcase, as you mentioned, of some of the biggest movies coming to theaters near you. Now, how does it work in terms of finding a showtime for this? Is this only in 2 days, as we mentioned, the 22nd and the 24th? It's at 6 p.m. local time across the country, no matter where you're at, right?
No matter where you're at. You can go to atthemovies.co or your local movie theater website, or Fandango, our presenting partner, and find these tickets anywhere you buy your tickets. And, we're really excited to see how this works. You mentioned a $3 donation. We feel like this program is not necessarily a program to make theaters, get a bunch of additional cash flow. The cash flow is going to come from the repeat business, right? The people looking at the content and coming back. But it's really a day of open house, right? I mean, showcasing your theater. There are several theater chains across the country doing promotions, doing concession promotions and drink promotions to get people to come to the theater that day.
It reminds me a lot of a couple of initiatives that I've seen elsewhere in the industry. You mentioned that there's this Discovery Day that we've seen Kinepolis do in Europe, the Belgian-based multinational. They've found great success with that. On a more local grassroots level, the Bryn Mawr Film Institute in the outskirts of Philadelphia, they're around a local college. They have a open house, like you mentioned. They use that term every time that the students come back. They give out posters. They welcome everyone in. They've had great success with that program in the past. So I love that there's now a national concentrated open house for the movie theater business. And we have a 70-minute program here. Now, of course, everything we saw at CinemaCon is unwieldy. We can't condense that to 70 minutes. What can we advance? What can we reveal here on this podcast of what moviegoers can expect to see from that program?
Look, I will say I intimately know the program now, right? I've seen several iterations of it. Several of our studio partners have stepped up to give some of that exclusive sneak peek, hence the name, content and films to moviegoers. And so what I can say is that there's going to be a fun mix of trailers that do exist out there, curated from each studio, as well as some behind the scenes content that you may have seen at CinemaCon, you may not have seen. So there's some like little Easter eggs throughout the program that you're going to be delightfully surprised about. And I think moviegoers of all genres will be able to respond to something in this program. I think there's definitely something for everyone. With that caveat, it is not made for little kids. There is adult content in here, so don't bring your little kids.
Now, we know there's different metrics for success in this industry. For something like this, I do want to ask you, what does success look like for this specific initiative? Because National Cinema Day, when we had that, it existed for a different purpose. It was more a return to theaters, a welcome back. The audiences are back. We just need frequency. So in light of that, how do you qualify this being a great endeavor that the Cinema Foundation is launching?
And this is a maiden voyage, right? So success in the metrics that maybe you would look at, attendance or revenue, we don't know that. But what we can measure is at the end of the program, there's a QR code and audiences can scan that QR code and see what films were released in Sneak Peek Showcase. And then we can start seeing, was there repeat traffic? Was there people coming back to see those films? And I think that's really the success of this program. I don't necessarily believe it's how many people went to it. Obviously, we want as many people to go to it as possible, or how much revenue we're bringing in. But I think the return business, right? Because you talk about it, frequency. Frequency is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the infrequents to come more frequently, and the casuals to come back. So I think that's really what we're focused on with this program, and just at the movies in general. The concept for this year-round campaign is to just keep beating the heart of going to the movies and the magic of going to the movies and coming with your friends and your family, or even, a solo trip where you can just unwind and put that phone down and be transported to a new world.
Now, one of the things that we've done as a publication in the past, whenever we have the French edition of CinemaCon, which is basically exactly like CinemaCon, but just with a lot more smoking and cheese, it's its own thing, Brian. I'm not going to lie to you. The cheese is great. The air isn't quite as casino quality as we have it at CinemaCon. But anyway, in this French edition of CinemaCon, the FNCF puts on every year, we like to give out notebooks to all the exhibitors. So every time they go to the studio presentation, they go with their notebook, they make their notes, and it's a little bit engaging, a little bit participatory. I would love to see theaters to really buy into that, right? Lean into it. Interact with your patrons coming in. If you can have a giveaway like that, work with a partner and give them a little notepad so they can make notes and they can engage with all the content that they're seeing. When I think about the potential of this initiative, like you, I think of what this can become 3, 4, 5 years down the line. From your perspective, what would you like to see this grow to?
I think that's kind of where we're at. I think working hand in hand with our studio partners, that they know this program is coming up and know the value of taking content from CinemaCon and showcasing it to the consumer, I think is definitely something that we see growing as, year one. Again, as a starting point, we can only go up from here. I mean, already I've learned so much, and we've learned so much here at the Cinema Foundation and the team here, putting this program together, what it takes and what the potential can be. To your point, there's a lot more that we see in the future of encouraging exhibitors to do a little more, not that they're not doing enough now, but, it's never been done. So we got to keep figuring out
We all have to chip in here, Brian. I totally agree with you. It's a maiden voyage, like you described it a second ago. It's something we're launching that we're trying to grow together. No one's going to make a lot of money out of this. We're here to increase frequency. And yeah, I think as you say, working together and finding ways to collaborate and say, hey, what would work for your local audience to make this an annual destination? We're going to learn a lot of lessons here on the 22nd and the 24th, and I'm really excited to learn about those results of that QR code once they're available.
Me too. I'm excited, and I think it's just. I think the whole program is just really a celebration. CinemaCon every year is a celebration of the movie-going experience, right? And so let's take that celebration, give it to audiences, and have a great hour plus of your life.
Now, you don't have to reveal this if you don't want to, but I'll submit mine openly right now. I'm planning to see this at the Look Dine-In Cinemas up in Dobbs Ferry, very close drive to my house. Where are you going to be enjoying this program?
I will be enjoying it both days here in LA, and I think I'm going to pick a couple different theaters because they're, I like to share the love here in LA.
Yeah, hop around. I get it. I encourage everyone listening to this podcast, write in to what you learned from this. You can reach us over at numbers@boxoffice.com. This is a great initiative that we want to grow together as an industry and learn from these experiences. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
And a big thank you to the Cinema Foundation's Bryan Braunlich for joining us in this week's episode. We'll be back with more of the Box Office Podcast next week. Thanks again for listening. We will talk to you again real soon.